The scoring drought. Well, let's have a look at the rest of the results across the Premier League so far this weekend. That was actually the fifth Premier League fixture of the weekend. The first three ended 2-1, all of them starting with Leeds beating West Ham last night. This afternoon, Sunderland clinched a huge victory at Stamford Bridge and Newcastle came out on top against Fulham. Both of those 3 o'clock games having very late winners for both North East clubs. Manchester United, meanwhile, they were the tea time kick-off. They have now won 3 league matches in a row for the first time under Ruben Amorim, beating Brighton 4-2 in a slightly chaotic game at Old Trafford. 10 teams are in action tomorrow. That includes Premier League leaders Arsenal hosting Crystal Palace, while Manchester City make the trip to Liverpool, remain on 15 points. And it means they drop 2 places to 6th. That defeat Brentford, meanwhile, move into the top half after tonight's results. And that incredible start to the season for promoted Sunderland sees them go up to 2nd on 17 points, while Manchester United, would you believe it, move into the top 4. Good evening to you. Jay Spearing and Sammy Lee are alongside me in the studio. We have our fan panel who will be with us a bit later in the show as well. We've got Chris, Josh and Conrad waiting to speak to us on the fan panel. There they are. But first, it's to Jay and to Sammy in the studio. And lads, it feels like a little step forward midweek, Jay, and now a massive step back tonight. 4 Premier League games defeated in a row. I mean, a few weeks ago that would have been absolutely unthinkable, and yet here we are. Yeah,
I don't think if you asked anybody the question, do you think this would happen? I think everybody would say no. Where's it come from? It's probably hard to put a pin on where it is, you know, or where it has come from. We're in just a little bit of a difficult moment. I think in all the games, if I'm totally honest, apart from tonight, I felt that we controlled. Even in the first half, I felt we controlled this first half, even though I know we went in 2-1 down. There was large parts where we were dominant with the ball. Did we really test Queeve enough? Probably not. But yeah, it's never nice to lose. It's never nice to lose 4 games on a bounce. We're in this little bit of a predicament now where we like you say, we did go 1 step forward in the Champions League, but our bread and butter is the Premier League. Yeah. And we're in a tough spot. You know, sided with a little bit of maybe an injury for Curtis Jones adds to the, you know, salt to the wound. It's a real difficult moment, but you know, I'm going to try and spin it and say that we can all we can do is try and stay together as a team. The manager will have his staff with him, the players will still be fighting for each other, which are clear to see that they are. Just things aren't falling, and we're in a tough moment. I mean, the lads will stick together, Sammy. There's no doubt about that, and they will come through this tough time. Of course they will. But right now, tonight, it's a really tough moment.
It's a very tough moment, and we've been here before in recent weeks, which is so disappointing. You know, we spoke before about dealing with their game plan, which is going to be long balls, second balls, long throws, second balls, and we concede from the long throw. We can concede from a counter attack. You know, we have to be positive. I get that, and the one positive thing for me is Szoboszlai's performance. Terrific he was, but we have an issue. Yeah.
From Szoboszlai catches Chris Ayer unaware, and yeah, the touch and finish is fantastic. But Szoboszlai's energy created that goal and give him a chance for the last 10 minutes of the game that was added time.
We're going to get more post-match reaction this time from a Liverpool perspective. Let's go back to the G-Tech and hear from Andy Robertson.
Andy, a 4th straight league defeat for Liverpool tonight. What do you think isn't happening that needs to right now?
I think a load of different things in different games, unfortunately. Today, first half, we went up for the fight. I'm not sure it improved too much in the second half, but yeah, look, we thought the one thing when you come to Brentford away, we've been here for years now, the one thing you need to come and fight, because they fight for everything, second balls, really good set piece team, and to be fair to them today, they played really well with the ball as well, and but yeah, we were a step off it. I think that's fair to say, and you end up conceding the goals. You know, you talk all week about set plays, how dangerous they are, the long throws, such a dangerous weapon for them. You know, first 5 minutes we go and concede a goal from it, then you know you get hit in a counter attack, 2-0 down, and it's always an uphill battle from there. So yeah, you know, 4 defeats in a row in the Premier League is nowhere near good enough for this football club, and yeah, so the standard wasn't there today, and it's going to have to be, because it's going to need to pick up. The one thing you have to do for this club is fight, and I'm not sure we got enough of that today.
Liverpool lost 4 matches last season in total. We're into match week 9. They've already lost 4 matches in a row in the Premier League this season. Danny, a key word that he used there was fight, saying that that was really the difference between the two teams. Is that what you felt as well?
I did. I mean, there was a lack of quality at times from Liverpool, which we're not used to, but he's spot on and very honest of him. Very rarely have we seen a Liverpool player come out and talk about a lack of fight within the team in a long time. But it was as clear today as we've seen all season, the lack of physical presence that the Liverpool team has. Second balls, headers, knockdowns, blocks, tackles. I mean, yes, Brentford were superb. Give them credit. But Liverpool was so far off it physically that you can't win games of football when you're second best in every department.
Yeah, and then from that, as you mentioned, Brentford were superb. One of the outstanding things, as Robertson had said, was the fight, which they showed. You know, they were first to the ball. They showed intensity, put bodies on the line tonight. Yeah,
they won the duels to a man. They were really at it. They just showed a stat then. This was covered a lot more ground than Liverpool players, which for a Liverpool team doesn't usually happen within the stats. So to look at that, that's not good enough for a Liverpool side, but you know, Brentford have worked really hard for that win, and yeah, they fought and they battled, but they also showed some quality as well within the play, and each other knew what they were doing as well. You know, it showed with the Sharda goal in behind game plan, and it worked out today.
Thing is, distance covered is one conversation, but I bet you Brentford's intensity was higher as well, because sometimes you can run around, but with intensity, with desire, with meaning, with purpose, and also the plan. It wasn't by luck. They knew exactly what they were doing. They'd worked on it, obviously. Keith Andrews had set up a game plan and they nailed it. So the coach deserves credit, the players' physical condition, their technical ability. That was as good a Brentford performance as I've seen in a long time.
Then just from your old side, Liverpool, of course, now, this is the big story because it's the reigning champions. They've gone 4 in a row in the Premier League. As I mentioned, 4 in the whole of last season that they lost. How do they get back to that? And how does he perhaps draw on the way in which they played against Eintracht Frankfurt in midweek, for example?
Well, he's struggling to find the right solutions at the moment. There's going to be a huge backlash to this. But not just this game, the continuation of poor form in the Premier League. They've got 2 problems. One is the defensive issue, how open they are. And I think the other issue is the physical condition. Too many of the players don't look physically right, like where they were last season, and the new players a little bit off it as well. So it's a big dilemma, but they've got to get back to basics and quick.
Well, a tough watch for you, Danny. Thank you so much for providing the expert analysis. Thank you to Ben Mee as well. A big night for Brentford. Wonderful to have all of you joining us. The big news, Liverpool have lost for the 4th time in a row.
The Premier League is our weekly one. You know, the Champions League will come and go. Competitions will fit in between. But our bread and butter for Liverpool Football Club is the Premier League. We don't want that gap to get too far that we can't chase.
Which it's absolutely not.
No. Listen, it's not. It's nowhere near panic stations. There's a few fundamental things that we need to really knuckle down on. I agree with Sammy. If you have a base of clean sheets, we're always going to create opportunities to score. We've got enough firepower going forward to create opportunities, to create chances, to score goals. You know, the squad that we've got, they're capable of scoring. More than half of our squad could probably score more than 10 goals a season if they wanted to, because of the amount of chances that we do create. But we have to have a foundation of clean sheets to try and help us move forward and win games of football. And yeah, I agree, the goals that we're conceding over the last couple of weeks for me are probably a little bit too easy, and teams aren't having to do a
So we'll get into the finer details, probably the goals a little bit later on. But the penalty decision, Sammy, that kind of seals it, if you like, for Brentford. VAR intervene, having refused to intervene earlier on with what happens with Cody Gakpo.
I'll ask the question why, Becky.
Well, I was going to ask you that.
I'll ask the question why.
Don't look at me.
I'll ask the question why, because honestly, I don't understand it. Because the first one against Gakpo, I've seen them given.
Yeah, 100%.
I've seen them given.
Absolutely.
I really have seen. And again, I'm not too sure whether they're talking about whether it was the touch that Van Dijk did on the lad was on the line or outside the box. I don't know. But what I'm saying, and I don't know what the ruling is. I really don't. I wish it did, because it seems to change every game. You know, again, why didn't he intervene in the Gakpo one?
It's an opinion of someone at Stockley Park, isn't it, really, that's made a decision, it's decided to.
Whether it's clear and obvious,
to whether it's clear and obvious, where you're not helping, like, they're not helping the referee in my eyes at all. I thought the referee in the first half, I felt he actually had a decent first half, apart from that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I felt he let the game go. It became a little bit of a decent game of football, and I felt he actually controlled it quite well.
Yeah. How did you see it?
Yeah, just thought we didn't do enough off the ball. On the ball, I thought first half we created a couple of moments, kept the ball quite nice, but you can't come to Brentford away and just expect to play them off the park, because they're always going to be ready to fight. They're always going to be ready to, put bodies in the box when it comes to set pieces, put the balls in behind, pick up second balls. You know what you're going to come to here. They're always the same, and they're so good at it. And it felt to me as if we were just a yard off it in terms of that. They picked up so many second balls, and then the balls in behind, and our back line are running back the way to try and head the ball, which is so difficult as it is. And we know how difficult, how good a set piece team they are. We've worked on the long throw and everything. 5 minutes in, you concede 3 long throw ins. One of them you concede from. It's not good enough, and you play into their hands, and then you've got an uphill battle from there. Kept fighting, but nowhere near good enough.
And having got one back just before half time, you thought, maybe corner turn, but they came out and kind of squeezed again, didn't they, and played their game.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Obviously coming in 2-1, probably didn't deserve it really, and you come in, okay, we've got a chance here, we can get back in the game, good time to score a goal right in half time. Come out second half, and I thought they started the second half really well. They were the ones pushing again, winning set pieces, winning corners, and yeah, we didn't push on from that. And then you just try, and they get a penalty, whether it's on the line, off the line, whatever, but then you're 3-1 down, and it's just about throwing bodies forward, and it becomes chaotic, and there's no structure to it, which is never good. We get a goal, okay, we try and push, we nearly score right at the end, but to be honest, if we got a draw today, it would have probably flattered us.
Yeah, it feels like you want control, and it's a hard thing to find at the moment.
But you have to fight for the control. Yeah. No team in the Premier League and the Champions League, but let's focus on the Premier League just now. Nobody's going to just say, you go, on you go, you take the ball, and we'll try and defend. Nobody does that. They always have a game plan against us, and every team, all the managers in the Premier League are so talented, and everyone, especially teams that have got a full week to prepare and everything like that, they would have had a clear game plan, and I think they would have to ask their manager, but I think they played theirs perfectly, and we didn't play ours at all, and that makes it so difficult. And like I says, if you just think you're going to show up and all of a sudden they're going to drop off, we're going to have control and we'll just wait until we kind of score. Never ever happens. I've been here, this is my 9th season, I think maybe it's only happened once or twice, and if we expect that, then we're in big bother. So you have to fight for that control. You have to fight first of all, you have to fight for the second balls, fight for the first balls, and try and feel your way into the game, and then the quality will come through. And I felt as if we never got a grip on the game at all today, and had moments, but not enough moments to go and really put them under pressure.
So just hard work for better days. That's as simple as that, really. Got
to work harder. It's as simple as that. In training and games, recovering better. All of us have to. When you're at this football club, people demand results, and the fans travel up and down. I guarantee quite a lot of them in their way in today were in Frankfurt as well, and they spend a lot of money to come and support us. And in a difficult moment, the only way to get out of it is work even harder and run that bit more, and look after yourself that bit better, and that's what we've got to do, because the results have been nowhere near good enough over the last 5-6 games, and we're the only ones that can get us out of it, and we know that. And starting Wednesday again, there's no rest. There's no time to regroup. We've got games, and sometimes it can be a good thing that you've got such a quick turn around, and we can go again. But we need to start playing better, and we need to start showing a lot more consistency in our game.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, mate.
Concerning is this defensive problem now as you go through these weeks, because it's happening too often, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Again, conceding 3 goals is far too much if you want to win a game of football. The first one was a set piece, which is maybe something, if you concede goals over, something you might expect, because they're so strong on set pieces. Second one, counter-attack. I think one of the things they're very, very, very good at as well. We didn't defend that well at all. Now then we were lucky, or we did something well to still be in the game at half-time, because we did score the 2-1, and then in the second half a penalty made it hardly impossible for them to win here today, or to get a result here today.
You've seen that penalty again. What's your thought on that?
Difficult. The referee gave a free kick. I'm not too sure penalty for that, but yeah, he gives a free kick, and then the VR says it's inside. Yeah, then you have to accept that if it's inside and the referee has given a free kick, then it's overturned to a penalty. If I look at the same situation from Cody Gakpo in the first half, for me that was more than this one. But yeah, you cannot compare these situations because the referee, I don't think he was planning to give a penalty for it.
Yeah, just Arne Slot talking about that penalty incident there. Brentford referee announcements. As we heard after review, the challenge by Liverpool number 4 is on the line. My final decision is a penalty. That Liverpool defence, and Arne Slot made reference to the fact that, again, they have been conceding goals 3 tonight. It's really vulnerable. Yeah,
it's vulnerable. We've seen it over the past few weeks, actually. It's very un-Liverpool-like. Those two centre-halves are usually so solid and connect the whole back four together. You know, full-backs didn't look at it either. There was too many players not winning balls, not winning the duels. Thiago up front was getting hold of too much. Runners off full-backs in behind. Yeah, they're looking a little bit vulnerable at the minute.
Let's look at Liverpool's last couple of results. As you can see, their 4 Premier League defeats in a row. It's only the 4th time that reigning champions have gone 4 in a row on the losing side. The toughest period, Danny, no doubt, for Arne Slot in his Liverpool career. Something's got to give.
He's got to try and find his best 11 that's cohesive, that's got some physicality to it. That today and the Palace game were the 2 worst. The Chelsea-Man United game, to be fair, could have gone either way, and you could argue Liverpool lost those 2 trying to win it. Today was as bad as it gets because they were second best in every department for most of the game. Even when they were 2-1 down at half-time and come out and you expect a reaction second half, we didn't see it. And I don't think it's a lack of desire from the players. I just don't think they're in good enough condition to be able to raise the game to compete with teams who are so physical like that. So he's got to find a balance between being hard to beat for a little while and not worry so much about the forward end of the pitch with goals and creativity.
Yeah, just from a defensive perspective, you know, when you're in that situation, the goals are being given away far too easily, or the team's been opened up multiple times in multiple games, as we've now seen 4 in a row. Where do you start to fix that? How do they start?
Start by looking at where the problems are, looking at the goals, reviewing them. You know, what can be done to improve that. And yeah, the good players, personnel maybe, I don't know. Who's in there, who's playing, who's confident, who's not quite pulling their weight. But yeah, I think reviewing it, being honest with themselves, going over the goals, going over what's going wrong, the chances that